Friends, welcome to our channel. Today we are going to talk about how to size a solar system for your home and the information that you will need to be able to do that. Let's talk about it. We're going to go over three parts of the system that you need to figure out how to size. We're going to go over the panels, which is the most complicated and maybe the most important. We're going to go over the inverters, and then we're briefly going to touch on the number of batteries that you need, and I've already done a video on that. If you want to check that out, please click the link right here. Your panels are going to be your least expensive investment for your solar power system. Those can run anywhere from $120 to $220 per panel. And that's going to depend on size and brand. Your charger inverters, your all-in-one inverters, are going to be your second most expensive investment, and they are probably the easiest one to calculate and figure out how many you need for your home. And then the batteries, of course, are going to be the most expensive part. And I'll just say here at the beginning, how many batteries do you need? Well, it's the old adage, the more, the better. The amount of inverting power that you need, or number of inverters, is really simple to calculate, and it can be taken from the electrical demand in your house from the appliances that you have running. And here's an example of some typical loads that you would have on in your house. Maybe at the same time, maybe not, but let's try to max this out. So let's say your electric water heater kicked on, and that's 4,500 watts. And then say you have 3 mini splits in your home like we do. Each of those kicked on the air conditioning or the heat for about 1,000 watts apiece. Then let's say you turned on absolutely every single light in the house, and let's round that up to 700 watts. And then the compressor on your refrigerator kicked in for 800 watts. Now we're up to 7,000 watts of continuous draw from your home. Now let's say you wanted to cook dinner and you turned on the Instant Pot for 1,000 watts and a toaster oven for 1,500 watts for an additional 2,500, bringing our total to 9,000 watts. So you need inverters that can handle 9,000 watts of continuous load all the time. The two behind me, added together, each are 6,000 watts, can handle up to 12,000, and then surge beyond that up to 13 or 13,500 for under a minute. So as you can see, for our home, which is about 1,800 square feet with all modern electrical appliances, these two inverters will cover that with no problem. Each of these inverters cost about $1,400 a piece, and they power our home perfectly. If you're interested in checking those out, there's a link in the description below the video. Now let's go back outside and talk about those panel calculations. But before I do, the number one thing that is going to dictate your system to start off with is your budget. And I don't want you to forget that, and I don't want to leave that out of this video. But the beautiful thing is that these modern solar power systems for your home can be scaled up. You could start with just one of these and 2 batteries and a few panels. You could add 2, you could add 3. You can add as your budget dictates. Okay, panel calculations. This one's a little bit more complicated, and you are going to need to gather a lot of information about your home before you do this, but I know you can do it. And I'm going to show you some great websites that you can go to with pieces of information that you will need to be able to do that. I'll have them all linked in the description below the video as well. So the first 2 things you're going to need are your daily usage and peak demand. However, these can be tricky. So this can be tricky because you as an individual have different usages of the electricity in your house. Some people, average people, per this chart, use electricity mostly in the morning. The sun is out mostly in the afternoon, and then in the evening they're using more electricity. So they're not taking advantage of that peak sun during the middle of the day. And the average household in the United States uses 28 kilowatt hours per day. But this is going to vary drastically on where your home is located, how big your home is, what type of appliances you have, etc. 2 more really important things are looking at a solar irradiance map or a solar insolation chart, that's one, and also looking at the sun path for every month of the year for your location. The sun path calculation can be located at solarcalc.org. That really helps you see how much you're getting during the winter and how much it does vary in terms of sun in the summer versus the winter. You can find irradiance charts everywhere and solar insolation maps also in many different places. And it's going to show you the average number of peak sun hours that you will get in a day. Here in Texas, I'm about 5.3 in my area. And since Texas is so big, if you go toward the southwest area of Texas, I live in East Texas, in the southwest area of Texas, you will get over 6. And friends, keep in mind, some solar companies out there and many online calculators do not account for all of the things that I'm going to talk about today. So for you to get a very clear picture of what you need and to be able to do it yourself, you need to look at all of these things. There's a few different ways to calculate the number of panels you need, but I use production ratio, which is contained on a website called EnergySage.com. And I think that's the easier way to calculate things. They will show you the production ratio in the state that you live. Now, it might vary a little bit. Like I said, Texas is so big, but the production ratio for Texas is 1.5. And before I forget, you need to calculate how many panels that you can physically fit on your property and or roof. Obviously, we have a ground mount and we have large acreage, so I'm able to put pretty much as many panels as I want. But that is going to be a limiting factor depending on where you live. Although this EG4 Bright Mount system can be mounted on the ground in a backyard of a suburban house. And you can get several of them on the ground and not have to put anything on your roof. Or if you do put something on your roof, you can add these to boost your system. We did a video review of that system linked at the top of the screen right here. For me, it was easier to determine my yearly electricity usage, and ours for this home is 12,716 kilowatts. So from there, I'm gonna divide that number by my production ratio, which is the estimated solar production over time, and that was 1.5. Then I'm going to divide that number by the wattage of my panel, each individual panel. In this case, for this example, we will use 400 watts. From that calculation, I get 21.19 panels. Now you have to go over, so 22 panels total. You can see behind me, I have 24. But stop, hold on. There are some other things that need to be calculated into that to be able to properly run your system. And so many sites skip over this. The one site that helped me with this was pvwatts.nrel.gov. And within that site, it calculates some things that many people just don't think about. It will add in a calculation of a 2% loss in power for dirty panels. It will add in a 3% loss for shading. It is a feature which will put in a snow calculation per your location. Obviously here, mine was 0%. It calculates in 2% for slight electrical imperfections in the panels. It also defaults for a 2% loss for voltage through your PV lines running to your home. Since mine are longer, I actually bumped that up to 3%. It adds another 0.5% for a loss or inefficiency in all the electrical components and connections. When your panels are new, there's about a 1% degradation loss in the first few months, so it calculates for that. And also the accuracy of the tags or nameplates that come on panels. There are inaccuracies there from testing in the labs and testing at the factories that make these panels. There's inaccuracy of about 1%. So if you add all that up, that's about a 13% loss for me on this system. So that needs to be factored in to that number of panels that you are going to purchase to be able to run everything in your home. Because now with those losses, your 400 watt panel is now only putting about 348 watts of electrical load into your home. Now I've read this for many years and I'm also going to say it. Oversize the number of panels that are in your system by about 150% of what you think you need. That's going to help you out a lot and cover a lot of bases, but be careful and pay attention to how you are wiring your panels. Do not go over voltage or over wattage for the inverters that you have chosen. The nice thing about the inverters that I have, the EG4 6000 XP, is that it has 2 MPPT charge controllers in it, and each can take up to 500 volts. Also be mindful that in the wintertime, voltage on your panels will increase from the summer. So you need to check out what that cold voltage is on your panels. So I'll briefly touch on batteries once again, and I really refer you to that other video that I made on that. If you want to mitigate the use of your batteries, of course, you can just use less loads. A lot of people will mention that. But if you need enough battery to run your home for 2 or 3 days off-grid, it's really going to be a challenge if you have all modern appliances and things in your home. So the minimum number of lithium batteries that you are going to need for an off-grid system is 2, because that's what hybrid inverters require, that's what the 6000 XPs in my home require, and even the Victron system out by my barn. So take that as a baseline, but let's give a quick example of how much battery you are going to use. If it's nighttime and you're taking a shower and your electric water heater kicks on, that's about 4,500 watts. Now let's say you use all of the hot water within that tank. Our recovery rate, or recovery time, on our electric water heater is about 2 hours. So 4,500 watts continuously for 2 hours is 9,000 watts. Each one of our lithium iron phosphate server rack 48 volt batteries has about 5,100, give or take, watts available, watt hours available. So just running that water heater will almost completely suck dry 2 whole batteries. And if you have a cloudy day the next day, then you will not be able to charge those batteries up at all, and you will have nothing to run the loads in your house during that day. Take those basic parameters of what you use and apply it to that, but like I said, everybody's different. We get more sun down here in Texas than they do up in the Northwest in Washington. Friends, I know that's a ton of information, and we hope that that helps you out when you are DIYing your own solar system. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the description below. Now go check out this playlist right here, which shows you exactly how we installed 4 different solar systems on our property. Have a beautiful, blessed day. We'll see you next time. Bye.